going to get back to what I was saying, a point that was on my mind, because I'm always talking before I get on the video camera. But about the deep sea astronomy issue, you know, that sort of like the thing that doesn't make any sense. Deep sea astronomy. Okay. A contradiction in terms. Imagine one day you met somebody who was an atheist, but they also believed in God. And they told you that. They said, look, I believe in God, but I'm an atheist. You say, that doesn't make any sense. That makes about as much sense as deep sea astronomy. It really doesn't. It doesn't make sense. You can't be an atheist if you believe in God. And if you believe in God, you can't be an atheist. There's things that are mutually exclusive. But I get to thinking about Einstein and about the things he talked about in physics. You know, how there were certain things that seemed like it was impossible. You know, if somebody were to take a rocket ship and go at the speed of light, and then they come back to the Earth, you know, 1 year might pass. And that person is 2 years older. You know, 2 years have passed in their time, in the time that 1 year passed in yours. That's impossible. That can't happen. That's not possible. It can't happen. But you know, physics tells us that. Experiments have told us that what Einstein said is true. What if an impossible thing turns out to be true? You ever stop and think, what if an impossible thing turned out to be true? If a person could be an atheist and have faith in God, then the real question is, how is it possible that an impossible thing can happen? Logically, that's automatically logically impossible. But you know, when things in real life happen, like if I had 1 liter of water and another liter of water, and I put them in a graduated cylinder to measure it, it should come out to 2 liters. Granted, some may evaporate, some may spill, but you try to not spill it, and, you know, no evaporation, so it should be 2. If I took 1 liter of oil and 1 liter of water, mixed it, even though it's a mixture, it should be exactly 1 liter, or 2 liters. But what if I took 1 liter of pure water and 1 liter of pure alcohol, mix it together, shake it up a little bit? You could do that same thing with the water and the oil too. And you come up with 1.9. A little bit less than 2. Wait a minute, that is impossible. An impossible thing just happened. A miracle. But, you know, it wasn't really, you know, because miracles are usually Cecil B. DeMille's type shit. You know, usually it's Hollywood spectacular, parting the Red Sea type thing. You know, that's a miracle. Something like this isn't a miracle. It's just odd. Okay, it's an odd thing. It's an impossible thing that just happened. But see, what's the difference between possible and impossible? It comes down to rules. If you have a set of rules about how things ought to be, and then things break your rules, then you got an issue going on here. You got something happening. Your rules have been broken. Your rules, not the laws of nature, but your own interpretive rules. Taking a vitamin pill. It'll give me energy and I'll be able to lift up an entire tank. As a result, that's, you know, it's a miracle. But what if something happens that's impossible? You mix water, pure water, and pure alcohol. Let's say ethyl alcohol. You'll come up with something that's less than 2. It's impossible that 1 plus 1 could be less than 2. Even if it's 1.9 or 1.99. That's impossible. That runs contrary to the rules. It runs contrary to common sense. But yet there you are, you repeat this experiment over and over and over, and you do it with other liquids and stuff, and nothing else produces this except this water and alcohol combination. A miracle. But you wouldn't use the word miracle. You'd have to rethink it. You would say, well, that's, and you might study and learn and figure out something, and what you might discover is this, that an alcohol molecule is rather large by comparison to water molecules. And there are spaces in between. And those water molecules fit in between those spaces, which allows the thing to become less than 2. You have an explanation. When you have an explanation, then you don't call it a miracle. It's not a miracle if you can explain it scientifically. So, if someone, let's say if a person, like I'm thinking about something that actually happened with somebody I know, a person I know. I did meet this person. Actually, it was strange because the way everything that happened from the time I first heard about it, someone was shot. Unfortunate thing. Yeah, I think it was a case of mistaken identity. Just to protect that family, I'm not going to give too many details about it, but someone was shot in the head at point blank range. That person was shot was told that they were going to, they obviously didn't tell that person because he was unconscious, but they told the family that person was going to die, and they basically had to make a decision to, disconnect that person from a respirator. So they had like 48 hours. This person, within 48 hours time, that person was just going to be brain dead. But that person didn't. They weren't brain dead. They were told that if this person does recover, they're going to be basically in almost a vegetative state. If they don't die in the next 48 hours, they're just going to be practically a vegetable. But that didn't happen. The person eventually came out of the coma. And they were told all kind of other things. Well, this person will never be able to walk, or they're not going to be able to do this. That person was able to walk. Almost everything the doctors said they weren't going to be able to do, that person was able to do. The woman who was shot, she recovered. Now, granted, she wasn't in perfect shape after that. She had problems. She had lost sight in one eye. But she was able to walk. She was able to talk. She was able to think. She understood everything. She knew who she was. I remember when that first time I saw her, she was in a wheelchair. And later on, I remember she was in our office and we were talking and chit-chatting and joking. She was even joking about different things. And I just thought, and this is like a year and a half later, I'm thinking, wow, I'm thinking about, the doctors said that she wasn't going to live and that she was going to be a vegetable. Yet here this thing happened, Now, I don't want to say miracle, but I always refer to that as a miracle. There's no divine thing involved in that, unless you want to look at it that way. Doctors simply made a mistake. They got it wrong. Doctors got it wrong. Most of the time, doctors get things right. I'm not going to lie. Most times when doctors say something, I pretty much trust doctors. They tell me my blood pressure's high. Okay, I accept that. I see on the thing, yeah. They tell me I'm diabetic. Okay, I accept that. I don't deny that. But, sometimes doctors get things wrong. And we interpret what happens as a miracle sometimes when things happen. And it depends, because some people wouldn't interpret that as a miracle. They would just simply say, well, the doctors got it wrong. It's a matter of interpretation. But what if a person, let's get back to the person who says that they are an atheist who believes in God. Maybe they're an atheist because of all the descriptions of what an atheist is. That, at least what I'm getting on YouTube. An atheist is a person who is rational. They're very rational, and they look at things based on evidence. Based on evidence, logic, reason, and they accept something as being true based on that, and not just on divine things or based on whatever. So in that sense, the person is an atheist. They're a rational person. But they also happen to believe in God. They have faith in God. But they don't act irrational. They never act irrational. Well, at least, I mean, not no more than anybody else would, but they have faith in God, but they're also rational. So therefore, that person would define themselves as an atheist who believes in God. In that way of looking at it, I can understand that. You know, I might not agree with that person, that you're an atheist who believes in God, but it does make sense. You know, so while at first it might sound like, you know, deep sea astronomy, it does make sense. You know, if you think about it, the way we run around defining things. So if a person is a rational thinker, and they're very rational, and yet at the same time, they have faith in God, then they can be an atheist who believes in God. This time, I'm going to open this up to debate for those who want to debate me on that issue. This I will open up. Normally, I don't debate on things, but if somebody wants to debate with me, they can. And although I don't really, personally, I'm not going to call what I do a debate. I would call it a discussion. That's all.